kind of feel weird coming in the middle of that. I was actually getting lost in it too. How you doing, everyone? Sorry to interrupt. You're listening of I Walk with Ghosts. I really like that track. Just came together, that one. How you doing, everyone? How you doing? I look cozy. It's a bit cooler here. It's starting to become what feels like a proper winter now in Brisbane, which has taken a long time to get there. Issue with the smart card ID when using one or more, using more than one track in a video. It recognizes only one name in the description. It should only work like as long as you got my name. It should work for everything. So if there's something happening, maybe you can. I've got a contact form on my website. Maybe get in touch there and we can figure out what's going on. There could be something else to do with. We've been having a lot of issues with another company claiming my music falsely, Centric Music. And we need to. If that's the case, then we need to get my publisher to deal with it, and we can get it fixed for you. It's very annoying. It's very annoying, but that's likely what the issue is. But yeah, if you can reach out using my form, so if you go to scottbuckley.com.au, and on the contact page, there's a form that you can fill in, and I really appreciate it. Or if in the form, okay. Also, make sure you dispute the claim so that it stays in escrow, all the revenue. All right, and then hopefully it gets solved as soon as we can. If it is the Centric issue, the problem is it does take a little bit longer than a normal claim. It can take maybe a week or more, which is a real pain. But as long as you got it in, as long as you've claimed it, as long as you've disputed it, sorry, it should be, you should keep the revenue. So yeah, no worries. I'm sorry that it happens. This really sucks. It's really annoying. I'm doing Morrowind music, yes. So I'm working on an album project for Silver Screen, which is if you don't know them, they're a record label in the UK, and they do all sorts of releases. And I'm working on a collection of arrangements from the Elder Scrolls games. So I've already done Arena and Daggerfall. And now I'm moving on to Morrowind and some ambient tracks from the Morrowind score, and then we'll move on to Skyrim and also ESO, because ESO's got some really good music too, really good music. Yeah, it's like the Zelda album. So I did a Zelda album last year, and it's pretty much that, just with ESO, with the Elder Scrolls. Yeah, it's really fun. It's silly that I get paid to do this, but it's fun. I got a Switch, Jay. Very cool. What, is it good? You enjoying it? We've been debating about getting one. We were thinking about pre-ordering, and then we didn't think about it for a while, and then all of a sudden the Switch is out, and we're trying to decide whether we want to get it. But it's I don't know. We're not super hype about a lot of the games. I don't know. I would love to just be able to play. I haven't actually played Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. It'd be kind of cool to play them, I reckon. The new Knockout Tour mode, it's fantastic. Nice. I mean Mario Kart looks super fun, man. Super fun. Find an emulator? Yeah. No. It's not much. You got to do it right. Hey Ronald, how you going? Alaska. Nice. Well, it's summer now, so I was going to say nice and cold, but it's you got to be warming up. We're getting those long days. You've been to Brisbane back when you served in the US Navy, right? 1981, 82. And during your cruise back at... Oh, yeah, okay. You were also in Hobart. Hobart's nice. I like Tassie. Fremantle and Perth, yeah, right. I've never been to Western Australia. All my life. I haven't had a reason to travel to Perth. I would love to get over that side one day. Amanda, welcome back. How you going? Lone Star, how you going? Did you ever play Arena Daggerfall? I tried playing Arena. Very hard to play. Very, yeah, very challenging sort of game to play. Very hard. Daggerfall, I've played a little bit more of. But, I mean, to be honest, Morrowind was my first Elder Scrolls game. The one that I got completely, absolutely lost in. I went back to Daggerfall much later, and still, it's also a real challenge, right? Like, even Morrowind, even going back and playing Morrowind these days it's a bit of a drag. Oh, and Redguard and Battlespire, yes. Yeah, I know. Not actually played those ones either. Have you played them? The USS Truxton, okay. I know a lot of US Navy folks come into Darwin these days. I think have you got a base up there? I think up in Northern Territory. Back to trailer music type stuff. Oh, what? Duel of the Fates. Oh yeah. That's a pretty cool score. The real challenge is the choir in that one, I think. I feel like you got to get the choir right. I got some good choir libraries, but getting the right syllables, because it's quite a specific kind of series of words. You know, like they've chosen, like Johnny's got a libretto for the choir. The text, the words that they're singing, and you got to work to match them. I think otherwise it's kind of weird, that one. Be a bit of a challenge. He managed to get the choir right? Yeah? Samuel Kim, okay. He does some cool stuff. I do like Sam's stuff. I'm so confused. I mean, he could have used a... there are some, like, the word builder type libraries for choirs these days, so you can do a pretty good job, I think. But it's like also matching the intensity. Like they're getting the right, like Oceania is a library I love using because it has that really super dramatic, epic, large choir singing as loud as they can. It's from performance samples if you don't know them. It's a really great library. It has it's just drama. It's drama encapsulated in a library. It's great. But the problem is you can't really. It has syllables, but you can't really, you can't program it to say what you want necessarily. You're just stuck with the syllables they give you. But it's still pretty good. That was in Sydney during World War II. Okay. Ever do anything in a line of Dablo? Actually, I've got a Dablo remix somewhere, like re-orchestration. See if I can find it. I'm not super happy with it, but I did it. I want to go back. I'd love to go back to Dablo, because Dablo, man, is one of my all-time favorite game series. I'm still playing Diablo 4 with my wife every day, pretty much. Very much loving the game, even if it's, kind of poor content. Just love the vibe of the world. Very depressing. Very depressing game, but very dark and bleak, and I love it. I love it. Where is it? Diablo. Diablo Re-orchestrated. Here. There you go. And I've got some like library tracks that are kind of Diablo-esque inspired. I think they're there's a Halloween playlist on the front page of my YouTube. There's a few tracks in there, I think. Captain Kenobi, how you doing? Thank you for sharing my music. Allows us to share trailers, vision and creativity. No problem. Hope you're enjoying the music. Haven't tried 3 or 4 yet. Yeah. I mean, Diablo 1 and 2, like, the quintessential Diablo experience, I think. I think Diablo 4 gets back to that experience a bit more. Diablo 3 went in a bit of a different direction, I feel. It went a little more arcadey. which is also fun too. We enjoy playing that too, but I feel like 4 comes back to this sort of similar tone. But it's a different kind of loop. Like, it's also, you know, I think there's probably other games in that action RPG genre that do that Diablo 1 and 2 vibe better. So it's probably better options out there, really. Got tired of Diablo 4, then started playing Path of Exile. We're now tired of that too. Yeah, we started playing PoE, but we kind of fell off that for a bit. And then, I don't know, we found that, yeah, crows are back. I mean, crows are always here in the mornings. I don't know why. Enderblade, yeah, exactly, Enderblade. AVM is full of Oceania choir. It's very good. Anyway, how you been? How's everyone been? I hurt my back, so I've been kind of going to the physio and trying to solve my back problems. I'm just an old man now. I'm an old man with old back problems. What else have I doing? I don't know, not a great deal really. Just working on stuff. Been watching more Stargate. We finished season 10 of Stargate SG-1, and now we get to watch the telemovies today, which is fun. So I don't know if everyone probably doesn't, not few, maybe a few of you would remember Stargate SG-1. It's classic sci-fi TV, you know? Classic TV. A little bit dodge, but also really fun. Thank you, King. Appreciate you too. I'm glad you really connected with them. That's awesome. Do I like Mario Kart? I mean, I don't hate Mario Kart. Definitely. I've never been a real big into the series. I can't say. I did own an N64. We definitely played a ton of Mario Kart back in the day, but yeah, never really super got into it. I mean, it's changed a lot since I used to play it. We had a Wii as well, and I don't think we ever actually had Mario Kart when we had the Wii. You like Stargate Atlantis? We decided we're not going to watch Atlantis. I think we're burnt out on Stargate now. We're just going to watch these TV shows, TV movies, and then clock out. I think move on to something else. It's it's been like a good solid couple of months to get through SG-1. It's been a plod. You grew up with the Wii? Yeah, nice. I like the Wii. I really did like the Wii. It was good fun. I played those Wii Sports games so much. I was super into the bowling. Bowling was great. Yeah, what else have I been doing? Not much. Saw a few concerts. We go to a lot of concerts, orchestral concerts and stuff. We actually went and saw the Queensland Symphony Orchestra play the Beethoven's Fifth, which is that da 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 da. So that was fun. I don't think I've actually heard it played live. For all its popularity and reach in popular culture, I don't think I've actually seen it played live. So that was cool. And yeah, that's about it, I think. That's my life. Suppose should try and do some work, considering that's why we're here. Yeah, so today we're working on a Morrowind re-orchestration, which is for an album project that I'm working on with Silver Screen. And it's all to do with Elder Scrolls games. And yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it. Because why wouldn't you have a lot of fun? I feel like I'm probably not doing... I'm sort of putting my own print on them, and I don't know if it's doing them justice, but, we'll go with it. So I'm kind of trying to infuse a little bit of a similar flavor through the entire album, so that all the tracks sort of feel like they go together, like it's a performance of, you know, a complete work all together. And so I've been trying to infuse a bit more like those sort of really classic fantasy elements into it, like these, you know, more folky instruments inside these sort of more very ambient orchestral sort of stuff that's predominant in the Elder Scrolls series, except for like Arena and Daggerfall, which are the earlier games, don't really quite fit that vibe. So I've had to do a little bit of work to sort of make them work, but I think they're fine. Arena definitely it fits the new sort of feel, I think. But Daggerfall's a little bit more energetic just because of the way that theme went. But you know, we're moving on to Morrowind now, and Morrowind is my favorite game. Morrowind is my favorite game probably of all time, and so I'm gonna, no matter what I do, I'm gonna feel like I've failed this music, because it's really hard to like. You can't change perfection, you know. You can't improve on perfection. So what do you do? But here we are. Here we are. Thank you, Seraph. I've been playing with some solo RPGs and journaling a project on your own, and been sort of building a playlist for the music. Oh, that's fantastic. That's really cool. I'm so happy. Oh, that's a good selection, Ronald. Those are also groovily, really a bunch of tracks I'm really happy with too. Writing a book, fantastic. Hope it's going well. Nice, Seraph. Thank you. Thank you so much. That makes me happy. All right. I need to do a few things before we actually crack on. I need to turn off this. Hopefully this doesn't sound awful when I listen to it in my room, but it's okay. We'll figure it out. I think everything's... See what the volume levels are like. It's pretty loud, actually. Might just turn it down a wee bit. Not quite sure on the whole build-up thing, but that's how I got so far. It's not that much, but we're working into this. The idea is also to try and extend them a little bit. So it's like, you know, how do you do that with a theme that like is embedded in my brain so deeply? I don't know. I think it's sort of coming along, but we need to work on this opening theme statement, I think. So we'll work on that for a bit. Oh, it's okay, Funko Pop. I won't say explicitly, but I do get paid less than I would say for if I was doing a game project or something. So it's not, you know, like super huge money, but it's also I'm pretty comfortable with it, you know? Like, as a person who, you know, does music full time, like, this is good. It's good money. Like, especially it's fun. Like, it's a really fun stuff. Like, that, all of the silver screen work that I do is really fun. And I'm quite happy to not be working for a ton of money, because of that. Because I really enjoy it. Pacific horns, that's what I want. I mean, doing a whole album of Zelda music last year, like, it's like silly. Like, this is a job. I can't see the keyboard. Oh yeah, if you don't know this song, let's I'll link you the of the actual theme, and then you need to go play the game, all right? Because it's really good. It's a bit hard to get into these days. Here's the game. Here's the theme. This is what we're trying to make a new version of today. Morrowind, if you don't know what Morrowind is the game that came before Oblivion, which everyone's probably playing at the moment because of the remaster, which is the game that came before Skyrim. That's the game that everyone's played. Skyrim's like the one that really completely broke into like popular culture. Like, everyone played Skyrim at some point. But Morrowind, I feel, was the first game that really hit that feeling of, I mean, Daggerfall did it too. Daggerfall was huge. If you look at the map for Daggerfall, the maps for, say, for Morrowind and for Oblivion and for Skyrim would fit into probably like 1/50th of the map for Daggerfall. Daggerfall was huge. Massive game, procedurally generated, entirety of Tamriel just kind of created. It's really crazy. It's a bonkers game. I feel like Morrowind was the first time where they made a smaller map and made this really focused kind of experience, you know, like this exploration experience, and that felt right. And my wife and I played so much of that game. So much. Yeah, Daggerfall's a lot. Morrowind also has probably one of the best, not in-game maps, but like physical maps that came with the game. Remember back in the days, guys, where games were physical, where you could go to the shop and you buy a physical game and take it home with you? You know? Ever remember those? Well, back in the day, they used to come, like when you played an RPG, it would come with a map of the game world. And Morrowind's map was one of the best maps ever because it was actually useful. So on the map, it's incredibly detailed. Maybe I can bring one up. I'm going to bring it up. Morrowind map. Physical map. I think that's what we need to do. Here we go. We'll go to Reddit. Reddit's good for this kind of junk. So, This is the Morrowind map. This is what came in the game when you bought the game. This was like a physical paper map that you folded out. And if you actually zoom in, like there's all bunch of stuff in here, and that's like, it's fine. You got to like the big landmarks and stuff. But the cool thing about this map, and I rarely see it happen in other maps, is that there's a lot of things in here that aren't detailed. So there's like, you know, there's a cross here, and there's a ruin here, and there's a, I don't know, like a cave over here, and here and here. There's mines and stuff, and a ruin here that's not marked really. And if you actually go to that place on the map, there's a thing there, right? So this was like, the in-game map was rubbish, absolute rubbish. Like, it was not useful at all. This was how you got around Morrowind. You don't do that anymore. Like, it's all the whole like landmarks and stuff that are put into like the, you know, the compass at the top of the screen. But this was how you got around, and I love that. I love that so much. It's so good, and I miss this game because of that. Like, it's just like that experience of like looking on the map. I want to go over to the over near, you know, the Telvanni today, and I'm going to check out what these various ruins have, you know, and like, it just like felt like such an explorer. Felt so cool. They don't do that anymore. It doesn't really happen anymore, and it makes me sad. No one ever talks about this as well. I feel like this was a huge part of what made Morrowind such a fun experience, and no one ever talks about the map. I don't get it. Mark the island with the mud crab vendor. Yes, exactly. Yeah, you got to find those vendors that have the infinite money. Morrowind's lore, story, and idiosyncrasy of the setting top any of the others. I agree. Morrowind felt strange. It felt otherworldly because of the world that it was set in. You know, like this sort of... Oh, shut up, crows. Yeah, it's just weird. Weird and strange. Weird customs. Weird political structures. Just felt strange. I feel like Oblivion was like that. Step back into like, oh, we're just going to do fantasy now. This is just fantasy. You know, magic and castles and... like, whereas Morrowind felt very different. And I feel like oh my god, these crows are just going nuts today. I don't have a bird, we have crows. Crows living outside of our studio here. But they're going a bit nuts today. If I can make music for any franchise, King, it would be Elder Scrolls. I'm going to put it out there. I keep on it every stream. I'll do this. I want to score Elder Scrolls 6. I want to do it. If anyone wants to get in touch, if Bethesda wants to get in touch, I'm really happy to do this for you. Yeah. Let's do it. You have Campaign Cartographer 3.0, Fractal Terrains 3.0, which you use to create maps of your worlds. Very cool. It makes maps like for, say, Dungeons and Dragons. That's really cool, Roll. I love that idea. Games need to do physical stuff more. Let's get back to like, those good old days, you know? Yeah, she put bug sounds in the gameplay, in the music, yeah. Keezy, how you doing? What would you recommend for a laser tag animated short film? I mean, it kind of depends what you're doing in the film. If it's like high action, sort of really like fast paced, there's probably a few tracks in the library that are very like that sort of high energy, sort of action suspense kind of vibe. I'm trying to figure tracks off the top of my head though. It's not really good. Simulacra is like a recent one that I put out, I think, that has that sort of vibe. Might want to check that one out. You can score the Skyrim remake. No. Oh, actually, like the one in the what would we call it? You have to know what the name of the game is, I suppose. We can't really give it a smashed up name yet. She's humming along, Jay. Good. It's a good theme. We won't. It's like Jeremy Soule for all the issues that comes along with like the guy, which is only apparent now, which is a problem. But anyway, but he wrote pretty cool music. The music he wrote for all these games is very iconic and has stood the test of time. So it's good. It's good music. It really is. Culture and ethnic tension in Morrowind made it feel grounded despite the bizarre customs. In Living in Skyrim, things are too cosmopolitan. One character from the region feels indistinguishable. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, also agree, Incarnate. KOTOR 1 score is pretty great too. Just run the metronome out to me. You don't have to listen to that. What's the process with Alan and me? One for a while, does he give you unfinished animation for you to add music to, or just slap it on afterwards? It's usually he'll give me what's called a locked picture of the animation. So it'll be a version of the animation that's not going to change in the edit. You probably know this, right? Yeah, it's a version of the animation that's not going to, like, there won't be any timing changes per se, but it's generally not finished animation, so they're still working on things. But at least I'll have a gist of what's happening in the story, and I can actually write music that will hit certain parts of the animation that make sense, and then kind of work from that. Sometimes there are some instances where he says just write something that goes for this, goes for this long and has this vibe, and then they will edit around that. But that's actually pretty rare. Depends. Like sometimes like montage sequences just need to get from A to B. You know, the music needs to do a thing for a certain amount of time, and they can fit sort of edits around the music. So that's sometimes when that comes into play. But usually it's me scoring to a locked picture. Yeah. Hope that makes sense. Chris, how you doing? Listen to the Mark of Chaos OST? Pretty rough but great themes. I don't know if I know that one. The Crows of the Cliff Races of Australia. They totally are, Yannick. Bloody hell. Ugh. Oh, it's Jeremy Soule as well. Okay, there you go. Mark of Chaos. Didn't even know he did that one. Nice. That's one I did. That's one thing I did. I bought the new Complete 15. I upgraded with the sale as being 50% off as it is. I decided to upgrade. And I actually downloaded... I'm trying to figure out what to download because there's so much stuff in Complete. Like, I can't fit it on my drive. Like, you can't get it all down. Like, it's crazy. But there's a lot of stuff I don't want. A lot of junk I don't want there. But I did manage to get Ashlight. So I have to play with that at some point to see how it goes. No, I haven't tried it yet, Yannick. Haven't cracked it open yet, but I have downloaded it. So it is ready to go. Can't hear the metronome anymore. No. Using a lot of sound designing cues, very good. I think it'd be really good for what I'm doing with Menace at the moment. It'd be really, and also Falling Frontier. I think there'll be some really cool sound designing things that I can add into the scores with Ashlight. Looking forward to it. Maybe I want it to sort of feel like it drops away for a bit, kind of like, so in the Oblivion theme, it kind of does this. It has this little middle section that sort of builds up to, and then so the bottom falls out, and it sort of feels like it's flying. Mostly because I think in the opening animation is kind of, we're flying around the Imperial City. Maybe we can sort of do that here a little bit as well. We'll embrace that a bit. Why not? Let's fly. Let's fly for a bit. I want probably like a triplet. Do we do triplets? Does this do triplets? I don't remember. Maybe tuplets. Do, 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 do. What's a 1/6? Is that what we want? Not enough space on the drive is a problem everyone's had at some point. Yeah. I want to live in the future where infinite drive space is a thing, Seraph. Aman, thank you. I've used Singlet Noise in a couple of your drone videos. Very good. Good choice. No worries. Yeah, I can't wait to listen to what I do for AVA 12 as well. I agree. We'll see. Stanton Zine, how you doing? I'm good. Thank you for addressing me as Dr. Buckley. Are you going to listen to the reference to the original or just go what you do based on what you remember? I have been listening to it on and off, but I kind of also just kind of avoid listening too much because then I end up just kind of copying it. So I kind of want to see where my brain leads me, if you know what I mean. But yeah, normally I would be referring to it. I mean, I definitely, like yesterday when I started this, it was much more like listening closely to, you know, the chords and the feel and instrumentation stuff to get, you know, at least some of the, you want some of the DNA in there, right? Like obviously you want the theme, but obviously you also want it to feel like it's the Morrowind theme, because the same theme comes in, you know, it's in Oblivion, it's in Skyrim, it's in ESO. Like it's the same theme, but it feels very different. Like the flavor is very different. So you want to capture that. It needs to sound like Morrowind. Otherwise, what are we doing? I think we might just try. We might actually try. We'll try a Albion soft. Oh, maybe not that one. Not that one. This one. Like a little soft spiccato. Little light thing. Yeah, Chris, it does go like that. And then I kind of get sort of sad that I can't recreate it, because obviously you can't easily do that sound that Jeremy Soule has. It's, you know, super, you know, even his more energetic stuff is still really ambient and washed, like sound of reverb. It's also to do with the sample libraries he was using at the time. It's a really specific sort of blend of instruments. And also the way that he performs them, it's really unique, and like it's hard to really capture that. So it's like you just gotta you just gotta kind of do your own thing and just hope you get somewhere that makes sense. Hey, Manny. Thank you. Thank you, Prime. Thank you. I was gonna say thank you, Prime. Thank you, Space Alphos. How you doing? Thank you for the Prime. What are we working on today? We're working on an arrangement for Morrowind, which is fun times. It was one of my favorite games of all time. Probably is my favorite game of all time. Coffee machine, everybody. Coffee machine. Thank you. I'm gonna move this out of the road a little bit. I'm glad you do end to play. It's good. It's good music. Patch. Bit of a weird one. A weird one. Ronald, thank you so much. $5, thank you. It's too easy, Ronald. I enjoy doing it. I'm doing it. You like the flute? Thanks, Chris. Glenn Stafferty's alright. Oh, Blizzard composer, right? Yeah, I do like Glenn. I think he wrote a lot of like that sort of prog rock style StarCraft music, right? Which is cool. Leon von der Stant composed some very good Morrowind tracks. I believe some Skywind too. Very cool. They close to the aesthetic. Nice. I should go check him out. Was it Yannick was saying that there was a call for composers for Skywind? It'd be cool to do, but I don't know if I have the time. I got a lot. Maybe the LCO string would be better. Vivid spiccato might be too vivid though. Maybe I'll just use the fluid shorts. Just do it, Scott. Yeah, I mean, I kind of grew up on a lot of Blizzard games too during my teenage years. And being musically inclined, I was always curious. Thanks, Jay. I think it's Terran StarCraft music, one of your favorite next to Morrowind. Nice, nice. There's a track, I don't know what it is, that lives rent free in my head though from StarCraft. Is that, I don't know how that, what track it is, but it's da 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 do 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 Huh? No, that's StarCraft. Yeah. But always comes back to my brain every now and then. Yeah. Now you got it. Anyway, that's a good track. I want it to be soft. What do we want here? Something that's it's too long. That's too long. That won't work. Feels too machine gunny. That's probably the closest I'm thinking in my head. Let's see if we can make it work. Aaron! Oh my gosh! How you doing, Aaron? Jeez, I love your work too, Aaron. Oh, I think you're pretty alright. How are you? I hope you're good. You're always a busy fella, so I hope you're looking after yourself. Few days vacation this week. Nice. I don't know where we're going with this. Does it kind of sound weird with the... Maybe the drums can change a bit. Maybe they can change a wee bit. Like I can't play very well sometimes. Dun, 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 dun. How to Train Your Dragon, I know, Chris. I don't know how I feel about it either. I mean, I don't agree with you that the score is forgettable. But it's, I don't know why they're doing it, to be honest. I'm not sure why we're back. And it must be so hard. I imagine, like, trying to figure out that, like, what was the composer guy? Oh my god. My brain no worky. But to write a score like that is so iconic. For, you know, it's like the, like it's often John Powell. Thank you. God damn it. It's kind of like the composer's score, right? Like it's such a beautifully orchestrated, you know, masterpiece. It's really beautiful. Really amazing work. Really beautiful themes. Beautifully rendered. To come back to that. To do it again. I don't know how you feel about that. I don't know how you must feel about that. That'd be a real challenge, I imagine. Those strings need to go, I think. That is not working for me. So I'm going to bring it back to more of the folky instruments for a little bit, I think. Marcus wanted a video about the theme. Oh, okay. Cool. I'll check it out, Yannick. Boom, 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 boom. Oh dear. Oh dear. That and that. Perfect. Don't know really what I want to do in this middle section. I'm kind of feeling a bit lost already. What? Yeah, probably Soul's Time, yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's one of those things we'll have fun now, might delete later. What we also probably need is a really warm... Can anyone tell me? So I love that. I love that sort of feeling of like a brass chorale, that really like low end of the register, very quietly played brass, that warm brass, quietly played. What libraries out there are good for that sound? Like, would the cinematic studio brass be good for that sound? Like, does it get to that level? Like, I feel like a lot of the libraries I have, they're always trying to be a lot brighter than I want them to be. Like more forcefully played. I want that really like super quiet brass with subtle swells. The patch that I get closest to is this patch here, which is the Albion Tundra. Low brass, like a hollow brass. This is what I can use it for. You know, that sort of sound where it's like it's really like a powerful sound, but it's also very light touch. Whereas if I go to something like, I don't know, like the trombones or the low brass patch in, say, East West, it's good, but it doesn't have that sort of like, I think like it changes too quickly. I want to dwell in that low end for much longer. So this is what I want. This is the brass library that I want. Those industry brass. Oh yeah. Maybe you're right, Yannick. Maybe that's something worth to look at. Sometimes I forget that I have all those Museo patches, or Museo libraries. Awesome, Aaron. Have a good one. Looking forward to seeing what you come up with. Enjoy yourself. Have a good one. You like Cakewalk's metronome sounds? Okay. Okay. That's fine. It is. I mean, I guess they're fine. These are just the default ones. You can change them to anything you want. Cropson, how you going? Hello. So this is actually a patch from Solstice, Albion Solstice, which is like a blend of a bunch of instruments, I think. It's like a... It's probably like a, you know, viola, cello blended with a accordion and probably maybe a hurdy-gurdy. So it's like a bit of a few... It's a few things. Thanks, Chris. What do you think the coolest instrument combo you can think of? Two instruments that end up playing the same thing just sound wicked? Oh, I don't know, man. That's a hard question. Hard question. I don't know. I have to think about that one. I don't know if I don't know if I like the transition here. Like, I don't know. It feels like it builds up too much and then it falls away, and it's not feeling like it feels like the bottom falls out. But maybe that's fine. I don't know. I'll have to listen to it. Hey Michael, how you going? Yeah, these are volume. All the little dots controlling volume. You got it. I feel like we're missing some intensity here that should be continuing a little bit, but like momentum. Maybe that's the word I'm trying to find here. Rules was in game, just credit me in a place in the game that makes sense, and also just be aware as well that there is still the content ID issue. So if you the thing we've had issues with, I guess, with people using it in games is that they have streamers play the game and then the streamers get dinged on their YouTube videos when they release the VODs. So that's one thing to keep in mind. That said, if you can tell me ahead of time, yeah, so all you need to do is credit me in the game, that's fine. But yeah, so the issue, yeah, is just the VOD thing. If you can tell me ahead of time before the game's published and you get people playing it on the streams and stuff. I not everyone does that, but if it happens, like, let me know and I can put the name of the game into the content ID flagging system. And so it should, as long as the streamer mentions somewhere in the description what game they're playing, then it should be fine. The title of the game, that is. Sean, you mean like a favorite orchestra to go see live? Is that what you mean? Well, I mean, I haven't got too much choice here. I've got one cool orchestra called the Queensland Symphony Orchestra, which is our local orchestra here in Brisbane, and they're very good, very good. We see them quite a lot. Thank you, Michael. Yeah, perfect, Michael. Yep. Perfect. Okay, I'm gonna have a quick buy break. London Philharmonic, yeah, totally. If you can go see the London Philharmonic, then yeah, yes, go see them. I'll be right back, guys. Needs to be a higher, something higher. I like the alto flute. It's a nice vibe, but I mean, the solo violin is not quite the right vibe. What's the largest I've ever seen? More. It kind of changes depending on the performance. So sometimes they don't need like the full, 370 players to play the piece. But there's been some like performances like of Mahler symphonies that are that usually have very large contingents. So it's probably the biggest ones I've seen have been here in Brisbane as part of the queue was the Queensland Symphony Orchestra playing a Mahler symphony. I can't say which one. I don't remember. But usually they have to bring in people because they don't have enough players in the orchestra itself to play. So they have to bring in like other orchestra members from other places to help them out, and all sorts of various instruments and percussion, and it's a pretty full on thing. How do I suppose making them and getting them the right plugins in order to make what type of style of music? It's so cool and interesting to watch. Oh, nice. I guess it's just like learning what kind of instruments sound best doing the things that you want them to do, you know, like what you want to achieve. Because you can do the same chords using different instruments and have a very different vibe. And I guess that's fine too. Depends on what you're going for. Hey Yashan, it's nice to see you too. Hope you're good. Figure that out later. We'll figure it out. Oh, that's not right. That's better, I think. How should I find myself bringing all your music, on repeat at times? Do you frequently listen to your own music also? You're constantly ingesting new, different music for inspiration? I mean, I do sometimes go back to my music, but not a lot. I probably should. Like, it's probably something I should be, returning to a little bit more frequently than I do. And I probably don't listen to enough new music as well to sort of spark the the inspiration, because a lot of my my desires to like write new music comes from finding interesting new music. But that said, I do see with my wife, we go see a lot of live performance, and that does, that is a lot of new music pretty much that I haven't really heard before, and does fill that role. But it probably should be doing a lot more, to be honest. More of everything. I actually mostly listen to podcasts, Yannick, when I'm working out. I tried audiobooks, but I found that I would like zone out completely, during a section. I'll be doing, I don't know, squats, and I would just like completely forget to listen, and then there'll be like a whole chunk of the book that's just gone, and I haven't paid any attention. That said, Yannick, I have used Doom when I say go for a run or something. I have used Doom for a bit of a energy kick. It actually really does work. It's pretty fun. Doom is a good soundtrack to listen to. Highly recommend for keeping you running. Yeah, Chronicle. That's another one. It was like, I guess, a sort of a similar idea I had as like for Monomyth, like the idea of creating an album with an arc, that and that was the sort of beginning track, but it just never happened. One of those things where I had grand ideas but never was able to follow through. Maybe I should return. Maybe it's time. Ideally not, Chris. I'll leave the metronome out, I think. But that's my creative choice, you know. That's just me. Speaking of metronome, Sean. Speaking of triangle, sorry. Favorite instrument from the orchestra? I don't know. I mean, cello is pretty good. It's pretty versatile. I like it for that. But I don't know. They're all got their place, you know. Got all the instruments, Sean. I mean, I use timpani a lot. In like all the basic sort of stuff that I would use probably on every track is things like timpani, all the cymbals and gongs. Gongs are very good. I find that they're very good for like space building. Like I just have them playing almost embedded as like this sort of very low level bed running through most tracks. And it just adds this sort of feeling of being in a big space because they have a really long decay so that it's like ring out forever and they feel really expansive. Like they just sort of open up and sort of fly around and it makes it feel like very big and wide. I don't know. The gong is it's a good instrument. Have you picked the crucial bits of the backing notes and accentuated them? Oh, thank you. Downplayed it and composed it for classical guitar, yeah. Even though there's very little guitar in there, I think. Well, I think some of those, I think maybe those, there's like a plucked patch in the Solstice library that has probably like a looty sort of thing going on. Bit of loot, you know. Save, thanks, man. Glad you're using the music. That's awesome, Sean. You should give it a go. Drag these back a bit. And then we'll go back to the theme here, I think. Bring it home. This doesn't sound right from here, I think. Let's just cut that out. What VSTs do I have for percussion? So for the orchestral stuff, I'm mostly using the Hollywood Orchestra from East West and a few things from the Cine samples, the Museo, the Cine perks from Museo. But for like a lot of other stuff, I'm using I use a lot of things like Damage 2 for like big drums. And so the moment I'm using, like up here, for instance, I'm using like open please. Yeah, so Damage 2, which is really good for like those really big cinematic drums. And I'm also using a bit of these 8DO ones, which I got on super special one day. Just taikos and frame drums and stuff. They're good. Very good. There's also a bunch of good stuff. I'm using like a big low end taiko as well from Storm Drum. There's a bunch of cool stuff around. nonsense going on here. Clean that up a bit. Bloody crows. I do stand by it. One day we are going to record those crows and make a track out of them. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. So that cello's doing the theme, the melody there. Probably need to change that. Needs to do a counter melody of some description. Yeah, new horror soundtrack. That might be a good idea. Something for Halloween. Pretty much every track I write, this is obviously working with a theme, but every track I write is freestyle. I don't really have much of a plan of anything when I write. It's very improvised. Should be with bowling ones maybe. It's a different kind of patch, has a different feel. Give it a whirl. We give it a go. not quite right. We'll leave that for now. Yeah, well, the cool thing, Sean, is that a lot of those like those orchestral percussion libraries come with so many percussion instruments. Like pretty much everything you would be interested in using, definitely there, which is great. Very good. What string VSTs are these? These are the performance samples. So I'm using sort of a blend of Vista strings and Pacific strings, both from performance samples. They're very nice. Very lush and very fun to perform, I think. Yeah, I love them. As he says, it's not for everyone, but I feel like I've definitely fallen in love with everything he does. The new stuff, I'm still trying to figure out how to, like, I use the Pacific brass a bit, mostly for the French horns. The rest of the library I can't. The tube is good, actually. The tube is very good, but some of the other, like the trombones and the trumpets, I found it really hard to blend with my template, so I tend to avoid them now. And the winds have been good. Like I actually used it on the last track I did for this album project I'm working on. But yeah, also finding it hard to get them blended into my template. So not everything hits, but it's like the strings have always been, you know, as soon as I started playing with Vista, it's like, oh my gosh, I finally have a library that I can write string lines that I've always wanted to write. You know what I mean? Finally happened. Yeah, manually shaping it, it's mostly volume, to be honest. I'm a weirdo that doesn't use like CC11, and the mod wheel is embedded, so when I perform it, there's all those sort of those brown sort of shapes you're seeing in the actual clip. That's me performing the sort of dynamics, I guess. And then I go over it again with volume to add a little bit more expression, mostly to get it to ebb and flow a bit more, and also just to mix it a bit better. So sometimes I don't want the flute to be so forward at a particular point. I want it to sort of bury a little bit, so I'll automate it down and then bring it back up when I want it to sort of flourish forward a bit more. I find MIDI always needs a lot more help than just a single pass with something. So it's like I tend to go over things multiple times to get it to really swell, really flow and blend properly. That's just the way I've always done it. I mean, I think a lot of people do it, but they do it probably different to what I do. I tend to not use CC11, which is a bit weird, I think. I might just try something. Oh, that's right. I downloaded a few things. Gotta try. New little libraries to play with. I'm so excited. What am I loading? Strings. Solo strings. Normally I would use Tina, but I think for this line it's probably attack is probably too slow. Yes, CC11 is the expression, yep. Sometimes it's just more of another volume envelope. Sometimes it actually is tied to something in the library. It just depends on the library. There is a bunch of east-west patches that are, like, they don't seem to use the mod wheel for anything. Or if they do, it's just kind of like a filter, like a high-pass filter, or low-pass filter, sorry. And they actually use CC11 to control dynamics. And so, yeah, it depends on the library, I think. Every library does things a little bit differently. Maybe I want the the Vista 2 cello. Do I do freestyle? I thought compose music on paper. Oh no. No, Sean. I'm all in the door. I don't think I've ever composed a piece of music on paper. It's just not how I work. Yeah, exactly, Paradox, yeah. I think I also tend not to use the CC11 because I have to go click a few extra times to get to the CC11 envelope. So I just use volume. Did I do something? Yeah, it's loading. These patches can take a while. These performance samples libraries are a little slow. But I do have this. So it's like I do have like a MIDI controller, so I can actually perform CC11 if I need to. I just got to remember it's there, you know? Oops. Nope. I have tried an expression pedal, but I think I chose the wrong one. Paradox. I think it's an M Audio expression pedal, and I just hated it. Like, it was really not sensitive enough for what I wanted to use it for. I found I just couldn't get it. It's also like it takes practice, right, to use an expression pedal in a way that you get enough minute movement that it not like just like four on the like it's like it's very on off with my foot. It's really hard to sort of for me to figure out how to do that, and maybe just need more practice. But I also feel like there are some pedals out there that have more resistance to the movement, and I think the M Audio just didn't do that. It was just like this plastic piece of crap. So I probably should have chosen something a bit better. But I find, I don't know, I don't even use this. Like, it's something that I just kind of, I find it's just easier to just do things in the DAW. I work quicker that way. Yeah, probably not good. I mean, I use M Audio keyboard. The keyboard's great. I love the keyboard. But I think I've used sustain pedal and an expression pedal from them in the past, and they're crap. They don't. I mean, the sustain pedal was fine until it didn't work. It just didn't take any sort of length of use for any length of time. They just kept on dying. So I use a Roland sustain pedal. It's good quality, feels solid. You like Reverie, Varel? It's a good track. I like it. Close. We're gonna transition. We'll figure that out in a little bit. I'm left-handed? No, I'm not. It's just the camera, I think, is flipped. It's flipped. So that makes more sense to me when I'm looking at the screen. I'm right-handed. Don't worry about it. Don't worry, I'm normal. I'm normal like everyone. did see one from the US. So I like last year, not late last year, but sort of, I think it's August. Was it August? No, September, August. I don't remember. We went to Boston. It was August, I think. I went to Boston with my wife, and we went to see the Boston Symphony play at Tanglewood, which is their like summer venue out in the Berkshires. It was very nice, even though it's like weird, like they're playing in this sort of big shed, but it sounded really good. It was a really good shed. Pretty impressive shed. So it was very good. We enjoyed it. They're really good. Like, clearly, you know, one of the best in the world. They've definitely got a sort of a slick performance. You know, pat down, pat. I'm hoping that I'm going to build this sort of into a more like a big statement of the main theme again. So hopefully that the flute going up will be sort of reinforced by some other more brass and more swelling strings. Just got to figure out what that's going to be yet. Sometimes I do, Sean. We recently saw the Singapore Symphony. Singapore Symphony Orchestra came to Brisbane, and they played. So yeah, it does happen. Problem with shipping an orchestra around the world is it's very, very expensive, right? Let's think about, you know, you got a full orchestra can be up to like, you know, 100 players. If you had to ship that, put them on everyone on a plane and move them around the world, that would be a very expensive exercise. I think the reason why Singapore probably is doing it is because they have, you know, they're very well funded, I think, by their government. I think we need to work on that transition, but I don't think it's this morning's problem. Gongs. Gongs, gongs, gongs. Thanks, Chris. I think it's getting there. I think we've still got a bit of work though. I feel like, I don't know, it's one of these things where I love the music from all the Elder Scrolls games. I feel like it's sacrilegious almost to play with them, but it's like, here I am, I'm doing it anyway. Yeah, it did feel like that a little bit, Chris, yeah. But still, those first passes were pretty amazing. What do I want to do here? We got a mute on. finish doing these folk instruments. Hello, Miller. How you doing? Hello, Bark. I mean, Bark would cut corners with the notations where musicians would hate him for it. Then taking into account, pianists have to flip pages, flutists had to breathe, bow strokes were defined length. Yeah, right. Just did not care. Working on an arrangement for Morrowind, the Morrowind theme. So I don't know if you played Morrowind or heard of it, but it's a game in the Elder Scrolls series. It's before Oblivion, and I'm working on it for an album project for Silver Screen, kind of like the Zelda album, but for Elder Scrolls. Thanks, Dark Raven. Is it better to arrange on a door or using notation software? It doesn't matter. I mean, it depends. It does matter. It depends on what you want out of it. If your true aim is to actually, be writing with the notes in mind and having a score to give to someone to play, I mean, being in a notation software is good, because you can, essentially render a score that you can give to someone and they can play it straight away. Whereas with a DAW, you kind of have to... The DAW is kind of like you're working towards... Like, a way to think about it is that you're mocking up a recording of an orchestra. For instance, if we're talking about orchestral sort of writing, I'm mocking up what an orchestra sounds like. I'm trying to mock up the recording of an orchestra. That's what we're doing here. We're making a recording of an orchestra. Whereas if you're working in a notation software, you're working with, you'll be able to play it back. Obviously, you'll be able to hear it. But the important part is actually the notes on the page, the things that you're putting onto the page, so you can print it out and format it in a way that people can play it. And so it's really good for performance, right? This is more. I'm rendering a recording of an orchestra. So I've never been really big into, like, maybe one day it'd be great, but I like working with sample libraries, and I like trying to make
samples sound as real as I can, and that's my thing. You know, I always enjoyed doing that, and that's what I'll probably always do. And I've never had the sort of mindset of I need to give this to someone in a format that they can play. It'll eventually happen, don't worry. But right now, it's like I'm all I'm doing is just making up sounds that make a recording. You know, that's my aim, and so I'm not worried about how the notes look. If we bring up these notes in the player here, there's like a star view. Like, it comes up with these kinds of things. And because a lot of what I play is not quantized, it's a bit rubbish. Like, if I printed this out and gave to someone, they would really have a hard time trying to figure out what to play, because it's not optimized for a performance for someone to play it. So it's like, it's a different kind of working, I guess. So it's up to you. You have to figure that out for yourself, I think, what your outcome should be. Whether you're really super keen on people playing your music, or if you're super keen on just playing around with samples and making sort of mock-ups of orchestras. I mean, many modern composers today do both. So, you know, a lot of people might work to make, particularly if they're working in media, even if you're eventually, like, you've been paid and you're getting paid enough, or the budget is big enough to get an orchestra to play the music for the film that you're working on, for instance. Oftentimes you'll still have to make a mock-up like this to essentially sell the idea of what you want the music to do to the director or to the producer or whatever. And so you kind of have to do both often, where you have to sort of work in the door and then somehow get this data out into notation software. And so there's workflows to do that, but it's a bit of a pain sometimes as well, I find, anyway. So it's different ways of thinking about it, I think. But yeah, that's probably too much of an explanation, I think. Morrowind is a lovely theme. It does, yeah. It's very, I don't know, romantic, I guess. I don't know how to describe it. Lovely we have this playing on the fan remake. Yeah, absolutely. Like my hoodie. It's an SLU hoodie. This is my old university I used to work at in Sweden. Sferalandsbukt Universitet. The Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences. Represent. Sure. Started to take inspiration from Thomas Bergerson. I can't say that I have listened to a ton of his music, which is strange given the kind of music that I write, because I know he's very big in like the cinematic sound. But I don't know. So I can't say that he's been a big inspiration on me. But probably has through like I remember back in the day he was placing a lot of stuff in film trailers back when I was working in LA back in the late 2000s, and I probably heard his music without knowing it was him, and so in that way maybe he's had a bit of an influence on me, for better or for worse. But it's like, yeah, I can't say that I've gone out of my way to listen to a lot of his stuff, but I really should sort of catch up on, because a lot of people love him, and I know that a lot of people who like my music have said that it's similar to his, so should probably find out why. Welcome back, Enderblade. Hello. You need to figure out these 4 bars here. Thanks, Barrett. Yeah, I'll check it out, definitely. Actually, I've heard good things about his Humanities albums, so maybe I'll get some inspiration. Deep thoughts, Enderblade. Why do you spice cinematic music? Like you'd find an epidemic on Artlist, but someone like Scott using the same instruments sounds incredible. Oh, thank you, by the way. I mean, a lot of stock music it's not really designed to be listened to. It's designed to be used. So that's one big thing I think that it's a big takeaway from like music that's purposely written for libraries, for stock music. It's not always listenable. For that reason, like it's not designed to have a story to tell. It's not designed to have an arc that goes for a while. It's just designed to make a feeling, well, you know, make a sound, make a vibe for a certain amount of time that can then get edited up and placed in things. That's the end goal here. So I'm not writing. I mean, I have music in a library, but I'm not writing library music in that way. Not production, like purely production music, because I'm doing a lot of things that you wouldn't normally do. It's sort of avoiding a lot of the conventions of production music because I don't want to write production music. You know, like it's not something that really appeals to me because it's very, I don't know. A lot of the soul of music is removed and it's kind of just it's use music, and it's a commodity. Exactly. Thank you, Manny. Turns it into a commodity, and I don't want that. I want my music to have something to say, even if it's just I like to vibe. That's the vibe. That's the piece. But I want it to have something that's a little bit more compelling than just something that can be chopped up and placed in things. So that's the big probably difference between it. Yeah, I've been there, and I don't want to do that again. Okay. Yeah, I would definitely argue that you should always be experimenting. That was my, otherwise you kind of become nothing. You don't progress, you don't move forward, and end up being a repeating record. So always experiment. But you're right, like there is points where you can just kind of do it without any consequence. And sometimes there is a consequence, but connection has been a slow struggle today. It's getting there, but it's like hasn't been super prevalent to me. Easy for me to get to the point where I'm happy with it. Which means it's been slow. I feel like we're hoping I'll be on it into the back section today, but nope. It is what it is, though. This isn't a bad layer. It adds a little bit of momentum underneath it all. Thank you, Trisha. Dun, dun, dun. Not for probably a while, Dark Ribbon. So this is part of an album project for Silver Screen, which is a record label in the UK, and it'll probably be later this year. So it'll be part of an album of Elder Scrolls arrangements that I've done. So keep your eyes peeled. I'll make sure I announce it to everyone when it's coming. So it'll be arrangements from across the series. So everything from Arena right through to the Elder Scrolls Online, actually, some of the new stuff. It's very fun. I'm so cool. It's so cool I get to do stuff like this. Change the chords there. Spectre, how you going? This can be pronounced. I do remember you. How you doing? How's life? Nice. Yeah, that math animation versus math was very popular. Got a lot of A lot of distribution. Oh, come on, Scott. How big the back end should be. I don't know. Almost sounded New Zealand. Back end. Yeah, it's like a guitar mixed with like a lute with a, I don't know. And I've got I'm pairing it with a dulcimer. So guys, I think actually it's pretty much lunchtime here, and I can feel this sort of growing hunger inside me, and I probably should go and deal with that. So I might call it there, everybody. Thank you for hanging out though. We got a little bit of work done. We added a minute, right? That's all right, minute-ish. A bit of progress today. That's better than nothing. So, I mean, we're moving forward. Hey, someone subscribed on YouTube. Alejandro, how you doing? You're probably not watching the stream, but hello. All these weird alerts. But thank you for hanging out, everyone. I really appreciate you being here and keeping me accountable, keeping me working. You have a great week. I probably won't be back until next Monday because we've got things to do. But yeah, enjoy your week. I'm just trying to think, is anything... There's a new... I think I put out a new library track on Friday, so there's another one on the Patreon that probably won't come out for a couple of weeks, so nothing super new coming out anytime soon, but it's in the works. They're coming. I will, Ronald. Thank you. Thanks for hanging out. Enjoy your week. I'll catch you next time. Okay. Bye.